Rihanna may be one of the most well-recognized and beloved superstars nowadays, but this was not the position she was in early 2007. Her first two albums, released in 2005 and 2006, did spawn several hits, but she still wasn't taken seriously as an artist by many people. On top of the unfair comparisons she received to Beyonce, even though their music sounds nothing alike, but I digress, Rhi was largely seen as a singles artist, whose albums were little more than fluff and filler. While I heavily disagree, this was the sentiment at the time. To bring her career to the next level, she had to come out with something that would differentiate her from every other act and establish a strong identity. Going into her third album, she stated that she was going in a different musical direction, and that it would be more upbeat and edgier than her previous two. She worked with producers such as Neo, Tricky Stewart, Timbaland, The Dream, and Stargate to create an album of wall-to-wall bangers that would become one of the defining records of the 2000s. To usher in this new era, Rhi changed up her style, going for a sexier, more mature look, all topped off with her now iconic bob cut. We all know new hair means a new you. The first single released, Umbrella, was originally meant for Britney Spears' album Blackout, but her team passed on it as they felt like they had enough songs. As much as I think Britney would have done a great job with it, I cannot imagine anyone else but Rihanna singing this. Umbrella was a huge moment, not just for her career, but for her image. This was a different person from the unassuming girl next door audiences were used to. This was a cooler, more confident performer whose star power was now evident. You could not ignore this song, not just because it was one of the biggest hits of the decade, but it was also a perfectly crafted pop song with its hi-hat beat, uplifting production, and of course that Ella 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 hook. Nobody in 2007 could say the word umbrella without adding those extra syllables. That's how ubiquitous this song was. Weirdly enough, the song's chart success in the UK, Romania, and New Zealand coincided with unseasonal extreme rainfall and flooding, which led to the media referring to the situation as the Rihanna curse. That Rihanna rain literally would not let up. Umbrella is not only one of the biggest hits of her career, but it's arguably her most important. It immediately established Rihanna, the effortlessly cool and innovative pop star, and the success would not stop there. The album itself, Good Girl Gone Bad, was released in May 2007, and it was an instant smash, debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200, with over 160,000 copies sold in its first week. The second single, Shut Up and Drive, followed soon after in June, and for the life of me, I still cannot decide if this or Umbrella are my favorite singles from this era. Shut Up and Drive is a new wave pop rock bop with an interpolation of the 1983 New Order song Blue Monday. The overtly sexual car metaphors are so unsubtle, and I love it for that reason. I was 8 when this song came out, and my naive little mind actually thought it was about driving. I clearly had a lot to learn. The video was also tons of fun, with Rihanna once again playing up her more mature image as she seductively does something car related. I don't know, I'm not a car expert. Maybe she's fixing the engine or something, but it doesn't really matter because she looks damn fine doing it. Man, the 2000s really had a thing for women sexily posing with cars, didn't it? Shut Up and Drive was another hit, not on the same level as Umbrella, but still pretty inescapable. Same goes for the next single, Hate That I Love You, which was co-written by and featuring Neo. This was a smart choice for a third single, since it was a little more ballady and showed off a more tender side to Rihanna, but was still mature enough to fit in with her newfound image. It's never been one of my all-time favorite Rihanna ballads, but I still really do enjoy it. Her and Neo have great chemistry together, and the chorus is very sticky and memorable. The next single, Don't Stop the Music, became the second biggest smash from Good Girl Gone Bad, peaking at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. This song is a dance classic. I still hear it regularly at nightclubs, and it always gets a huge response from the crowd. Don't Stop the Music is infectious. It has such an irresistible and bouncy energy with its relentless stomping beat and its brilliant interpolation of the Michael Jackson classic Wanna Be Startin' Something. This is the kind of song you play for you and your girls on the way to the club. It's a standard pre-gaming anthem. These were the singles from the standard edition of the album, but Good Girl Gone Bad was such a massive hit that it was reissued as Good Girl Gone Bad Reloaded in June 2008. And this reissue had even more hits, including the kiss-off ballad Take a Bow, the horror classic Disturbia, and the seriously underrated If I Never See Your Face Again with Maroon 5. This song is so good, but I feel like it gets the short end of the stick nowadays. It's not my favorite single from this era, but it's a really fun synthy pop rock track that never fails to set me off. These 3 songs were the only new ones included on the reissue, though a 4th song called Hatin' on the Club was recorded, but left off of the final product. It has leaked, you can find it easily on YouTube, and it's pretty good. Her heartbroken vocals and the twinkly production makes it a great depressing bop, which I always welcome. Good Girl Gone Bad was clearly a massive era singles-wise, but I also think the album itself is among one of her best. It draws influence from 80s synthpop, new wave, and dance, as well as contemporary hip-hop and R&B, to make a cohesive and endlessly entertaining record. There are no skips in my opinion, and some of her best deep cuts are on here. My personal favorites are Let Me Get That and Sell Me Candy, both of which were produced by Timbaland. Let Me Get That is a hilarious gold digger anthem that sees Rihanna owning her sexuality to get what she wants. The way she says furniture is so funny to me. I can't say that word anymore without saying it like she does. Sell Me Candy is probably my favorite deep cut here. The overbearing, chaotic production, mixed with Rihanna's seductive vocals, make it such a sexy bop. It's insanely catchy and danceable too, definitely one of her most underrated songs. Other highlights include Push Up On Me, an 80s influenced electro synthpop track, and Breakin' Dishes, which sees Rihanna at her most pissed off. The chorus of her saying, "I'ma fight a man tonight" over and over again is the kind of unhinged energy I live for. Question Existing is another great deep cut, which sees her musing over her time in the music industry and how it's affected her mentally. It's a shockingly deep and contemplative song for this album, but that's what makes it stand out. Rhee had never gotten this personal on any of her previous records, so this one is a definite highlight. The songs Cry and Haunted were released as Japanese bonus tracks, and I could see why. They're not bad at all, but they do kind of sound like leftovers from her previous album. Again, not that that's a bad thing, I love A Girl Like Me, but I wouldn't call them absolutely essential to Good Girl Gone Bad. The song Rehab was released as the final single from this era in October 2008, to moderate success. It's one of her darker songs, with lyrics comparing her toxic relationship to a drug addiction. It's a seriously chilling track, and inadvertently worked as a nice bridge to the darker themes she'd explore on her next album, Rated R. Overall, Good Girl Gone Bad was one of the defining moments not just for Rihanna's career, but for pop culture in general. It launched her straight into superstardom, and delivered some of the most beloved and well-known hits of the decade that are still played regularly. On top of all that, it instantly established the bad girl image Rihanna still has to this day. If it wasn't for this album, we wouldn't think of her as being the trend-setting, untouchably glamorous pop star, or former pop star, she is today. And personally, this is my favorite album of hers. It's the one I could put on literally any time and pop my pussy to. I just love every song here so much. If you haven't listened to it in a while, or if you never got into it to begin with, I highly recommend it. It's a great starting point for anyone who's new to her music, since it has so many of her signature hits, and it's super accessible to anyone who loves pop music. This record is a classic. Rihanna went bad, and the world has never been the same.